As President Trump prepares for Thursday's testimony from former FBI Director James Comey, a new report from Yahoo says 4 major law firms declined to represent President Trump in the Russia investigations. Yahoo News chief investigative correspondent Michael Isikoff wrote that story. He joins me now from Washington. So, Michael, why the disinterest?
Well, there are multiple reasons. Some of the top lawyers and law firms that were consulted by the president's people here had ongoing commitments. They had trials coming up. In some cases, they had conflicts of interest because some of their clients had already been subpoenaed as part of the investigation. But the main constant theme was concern that the president simply wouldn't listen to their advice. The lawyers who were consulted here, who got overtures from the White House, were some of the top attorneys in Washington: Brendan Sullivan of Williams and Connolly, Ted Olson of Gibson Dunn, Paul Clement, a former Solicitor General. These are the highest priced legal talent you can find in Washington. They are used to calling the shots if you hire them. They almost all have a rule: you got to listen to what I say. And there was real concern that this president wouldn't do that.
So, Michael, is it fair to say that these attorneys felt they had more to lose by representing the president than not?
Well, nobody wants to make the major commitment of becoming the chief lawyer for the president of the United States if your client, the president, is not going to listen to what you say. Now, there were other concerns that, my sources tell me that were raised as well, maybe not directly with President Trump's agents here, who, by the way, were Reince Priebus, the chief of staff, Don McGahn, the White House counsel, Kellyanne Conway, all of whom were making calls around. But there was a concern about reputational risk. Did their firms want to take on the representation of the of the president of the United States, given how controversial he is right now? One source told me there were concerns it would kill recruitment, that young, top-notch legal talent coming out of the best law schools in the country wouldn't want to work for a law firm that was representing President Trump. There was concern about the impact it would have with other clients who might not want to be associated with a law firm representing the president. That shows just how politically toxic this whole matter has become.
Well, instead, the president will be represented by New York attorney Mark Kasowitz. What's his background?
He is a bulldog civil litigator who has represented Donald Trump for years in business disputes and public relations disputes. He is known as a pit bull, as somebody who is hard-charging, who is tough as nails, who issues menacing public statements about his adversaries, who threatens countersuits. When some of those women came forward after the release of the Access Hollywood tape, Mr. Kasowitz, on behalf of the president, accused them of being liars and threatened to sue them if they continued to make public comments about what they said Donald Trump had done to them. This can work to, and has worked to, Donald Trump's advantage in many legal disputes, but representing a president in Washington facing Justice Department investigations, congressional investigations, all heavily influenced by politics and public opinion, is a whole different manner than the kind of arena that Mr. Kasowitz has been playing in.
All right, we'll see how that plays out. Meantime, there are also reports that the White House's plan to have a war room to focus on Russia allegations has disintegrated. What does that signal to you?
Well, first of all, it signals that there is the start of a recognition that this is a serious legal matter, and having a war room simply responding on the public relations sphere of things without thinking through the the full legal consequences may not be a good idea. One of the problems here is, what are the facts? What documents are out there? What emails are out there? Phone records are out there that will either prove or disprove some of the allegations that have been made about the president and ties to various Russian characters. What are the records about the meetings that Jared Kushner had and Michael Flynn had during the transition? How many were there? How many conversations were there? What were the nature of those conversations? It's not clear at this point that anybody has gathered and accumulated and absorbed all the facts. So having a war room out there to respond to every public allegation when the war room warriors may not have all the relevant information is probably not a good idea.
Finally, Michael, the Justice Department has charged a government contractor, Reality Winner, under the Espionage Act for leaking documents to The Intercept. Do you think that this is the beginning of President Trump's war on leakers?
Well, first of all, I just want to say it's hard to beat the name of the alleged leaker
right.
here, Reality Winner. I mean, if you invented that for a movie script, people would say, come on, we got to do better than that. Look, I don't know. Certainly the president has made it clear he wants a crackdown on leaks. He's said that publicly. He's expecting his Justice Department to do that. But, let's remember, I mean, just look at the facts. They were able to piece together who they believe leaked this particular classified document. The Obama administration would have done the exact same thing. In fact, as you know, they prosecuted more leakers than any other administration in American history. So I don't think we could draw too much from this particular prosecution and say it represents a deviation from the norm of what the Justice Department has been doing for many years, which is if they can find a leaker, they'll go after him.
All right, Michael Isikoff, thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
Sure enough.